Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another team review episode here on Running on Scuffs. I'm your host, Justin Seeger, for this episode, and today I'm going to be looking over the 2022 season for all of Stewart Haas Racing. All four drivers will be getting into their 2022 seasons as well as going into what they have going for 2023. This is one of the more interesting teams that I think we've ever done because a lot happened to this team from top to bottom. So before we get into that, I do want to make a couple of announcements. Be sure to check out down below the first annual Scuffy Awards. The voting is live now. Be sure to go to our Facebook page and click on the Google form to submit your votes. We really want as many people to vote as possible. We want you to vote. And if you guys want to know when we're going to be announcing the winners, it's going to be 1 week from tonight. It's going to be at our normal live show hours on Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. So be sure to tune in. We're going to be a little bit more dressed up than I am right now, and what you've seen on our live shows before. So we're going to be a little bit more snazzy for an award show. So really cool. I'm excited for that. But yeah, let's get into Stewart Haas Racing. Like I said, it was a really up and down year for them. Their results span all up and down the board. We're going to start with the bottom here and go with the 41 of Cole Custer. Cole Custer actually had a bit of a step up from his 2021 season. Most people probably wouldn't know it because it wasn't a significant step up, but he actually did get one more top 10 finish with three. And he did get his first career pole in the NASCAR Cup Series at the Bristol Dirt Race. And his average finish improved from 21.3 in 2021 to 20.6. This was not his best career year on record. 2020, where he got that win in Kentucky, that was actually his best year. But he did lead the most laps this year of his career thus far in a single season. So, unfortunately, at least for 2023, as far as that's concerned, Cole Custer will not be returning to the 41. He will still drive for SHR in the Xfinity Series, driving a second SHR Xfinity car. Ryan Preece will take over the 41, and we'll get into that a little bit later when we talk about their 2023 plans. Moving on, we have Eric Almirola, a veteran here in the NASCAR Cup Series. Eric Almirola started off his season by announcing he was going to retire at the end of the 2022 season, and he would no longer drive the 10 car, would no longer drive full time in NASCAR at all. And then in August, he decided not only was he going to return to the 10, but he was going to sign a multi-year deal. So he's going to be in the 10 for at least 2 more years. And like Cole Custer, it wasn't his best year on record, certainly not with SHR, but he did take some steps up in some areas from last year. More top 10 finishes for Eric Almirola with 7. The same amount of top 5 finishes from last year with 2. And a little bit higher of an average finish with a 17.8. This was the first year Eric Almirola has been with SHR that he failed to make the playoffs. He was able to get 20th in the final season standings. I don't know if I mentioned Cole Custer, but he finished 25th in the regular season standings. Those two drivers did not make the playoffs for SHR. But again, Eric Almirola will be returning next year for the 10 car. Now let's get into one of the more interesting ones, the 2014 NASCAR Cup Series champion, Kevin Harvick. Certainly not the year he wanted to have, and there's a lot that goes into this, so we're going to take a little bit of time here delving into Kevin Harvick. He was able to get 2 wins late in the regular season. I apologize. At Michigan and Richmond, back to back, but everything else really was a major step back for Kevin Harvick, certainly by Harvick standards. He had 9 top 5 finishes, which was the only time in his SHR career that he's had less than 10 top 5 finishes, and 17 top 10s, which again, the only time in his SHR career he's had less than 20 top 10 finishes. 14.3 average finish, which was a major step back from a 10.9 last year. Even last year when he went winless, he had a better average finish. Fifth in points last season, even with a winless record. And in 2022, he ended up finishing 15th. Now, part of that came from a massive penalty they got late in the season. 100-point penalty for messing with a single source part. You guys saw my video with RFK Racing with Brad Keselowski. You're not allowed to mess with the single source parts with this next gen car. Kevin Harvick's team did that according to NASCAR, and they were penalized 100 points, both driver and owner, on that. And then Rodney Childers was suspended for 4 races as well as fined $100,000 for that. SHR did appeal that, but they rescinded the appeal because not long after that, Cole Custer's team got a penalty for tampering with the Charlotte Roval race, trying to get Chase Briscoe into the round of 8. Cole Custer was docked 50 points for that and fined $100,000 as well. So Kevin Harvick was at odds with NASCAR all year, as well as a few other drivers, but Kevin Harvick was one of the more vocal. I think of Denny Hamlin, I think of Kyle Busch, I think of Martin Truex Jr., and I think of Kevin Harvick. Those 4 veterans of the sport really seem to have issue with the next-gen car and the safety of the next-gen car, and Kevin Harvick was very vocal about it. Kevin Harvick had a massive incident happen in the Southern 500 where his car caught on fire, and it took NASCAR, a few seconds to even throw the caution while his car was engulfed in flames. So he was not too happy about that, and he expressed that. And I think ultimately it may have thrown him off a little bit. I'm not sure, but ultimately not the year that Kevin Harvick wanted to have, and he was definitely kind of at odds with NASCAR. We'll see if he can fix that in 2023. Kevin Harvick's contract comes up at the end of 2023, and he's mentioned potentially retiring after that. So we'll see what 2023 and beyond holds for Kevin Harvick. But let's get into what I would consider to be one of the highlights for SHR was Chase Briscoe in the 14. He started off the season early with a win at the spring race in Phoenix. Really good win for him there, and he was able to get 6 top 5 finishes, and then 10 top 10 finishes, all better than his rookie season last year, and a round of 8 appearance. I mean, everything across the board for Chase Briscoe was a lot better. This only his second season in the Cup Series. And I think this is going to be great for Chase Briscoe. It kind of proves that he can be the guy to carry the SHR banner after a guy like Kevin Harvick and Eric Almirola are gone. So I think Chase Briscoe, SHR has invested a lot into him, and I think Chase Briscoe's ready to prove that he can be that banner driver for SHR moving forward. So with that being said, that's their 2022 season. Chase Briscoe was able to finish 9th in the final standings. So a top 10 final season standing for Briscoe. Now let's get into the 2023 plans for SHR. We've got Ryan Preece coming in to take over for Cole Custer in the 41. Eric Almirola, who is returning after previously announcing retirement. Kevin Harvick, whose contract is up at the end of the year, and then Chase Briscoe, who's still there for 2023. A lot of moving parts right there. A lot of differing agendas. We don't know what Ryan Preece, how long his contract is. I think I don't know if it's a multi-year deal. He was previously their reserve driver. Now he's going to be a full-time driver for SHR. So this is going to be an interesting challenge. We'll see what Preece can do in the 41. Maybe he can take it to victory lane. Preece has always been a driver who can get more out of his equipment. I expect him to make some moves on the short tracks, especially Martinsville with his modified background. It's going to be interesting. And then, of course, we'll see what Kevin Harvick, a veteran driver, he's been there since 2001. I mean, could this be Kevin Harvick's final year? We thought so with Eric Almirola for this year, and then it ended up not being. So we'll see what happens with SHR, but there's a lot of moving parts. And I think overall that's what makes them one of the more interesting teams to do a team review for here for Running on Scuffs. So I really appreciate everybody tuning in. I apologize if my voice seemed a little scratchy. It was a tough weekend here rooting on our favorite sports teams in other areas of the sports world. So very difficult time of the year, especially with this weather change. So I appreciate all of you for sticking it out with me. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Team Reviews. And I hope you guys will tune in to our next one on Wednesday, which will be Dan Foster going over RCR. So that'll be a fun review. Be sure to tune in to his. And with that said, I am Justin Seeger. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, be sure to follow us and give us a like and share. Once again, Scuffy Awards going to be November 28th, and the voting is live now. Go to our Facebook page to do that. And I will see you guys in the next episode.